Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Good day, Nigerians. Electricity has always been a major concern for Nigerians, from households to businesses. Today, we hit the streets to ask everyday Nigerians on a simple question: are you satisfied with the current electricity supply in your area?
I think there is a little improvement in terms of distribution, but the tariff, I'm not happy with the tariff. There is an increase in tariff. It's not about where I live. Everybody feels it because, I mean, whatever you put in, before a day or two, it goes up. So, yeah, it's not satisfactory. So they need to review the tariff, you know, to a government that feels for the people. People should enjoy something from the government. Almost all the things that are controlled by the state is on the increase. Think about electricity, think about fuel supply, water supply. It's not fair. An average Nigerian deserves a bit of fresh air, you know, so they can start it with reducing the tariff. For once, let's feel a reduction in tariff.
I'm not satisfied at all. The tariff is very, very high. Like 4 units for 1,000 naira is too much. It's too high. They should be giving us like 10 units for 1,000, please. It's too high. It's affecting me because I'm using industrial machine. I'm using a lot of electronics, so it's affecting me seriously. Sometimes you will collect a customer clothes that will charge the person like 10,000 naira. The light that you buy to sew the clothes is even more than the money that you charge the customer, so it's too high. Please, they should do something about it. They should do something about it. Even if they should increase the units. That 4 units for 1,000 naira is too much. It's too much.
Please, not fully satisfied, but it's the better. It's very, very better. I'm from the village, and we are getting it better now. At least when we have full light, and there's no day we don't have it. So I'm very happy now that something is very, very fine. Please, very fine. I mean very fine. Before, it used to affect me because I may not have, the main thing I have is the fridge and the phone. So at times I'll put something inside the fridge, it will spoil. But now it's no more like that. When I put, if there's no light in the morning, it will be in the night. Then my phone now is always available. Yes, there's a big change. They are doing better. Please, myself and other people around me will confirm, because it's a village that know the most thing that is happening.
There should be a constant interaction, one-on-one interaction, you know, with stakeholder. There should be a kind of maybe monthly, I get me, or quarterly. The electricity distribution should convene a stakeholder meeting so that we can sit down and interact to know the way forward. Because the way things are, you know, almost our earning is going into electricity.
They provide light very well, but the price is kind of high. But their light is, at least in a 24-hour space, we can have light for 20 hours. So the light is very stable, but it's just the amount, the tariff that is high.
There is a significant improvement in supply, I must confess. Yes, there is remarkable improvement. I can acknowledge that. But where the problem lies is most transformers are overloaded. And when it drops, when some phase fails, or fail, the response is not rapid. It's always very, very sluggish. Then in terms of tariff, government should try to subsidize electricity for the citizens. if this economy will thrive, 200 and something naira per, what is that, kilowatts or whatever, is so outrageous in the current economy. Many Nigerians are poor.
It's necessarily affecting us. Everybody is not comfortable. The business is affecting, livelihood is affecting, because you know, when there's light, when there's electricity available, a lot of it takes shape. But when those things are not there, a lot of things will begin to dwindle, you know, and many persons lives with the service of electricity. There are things you may not even use your generator to operate with. There are things you must use to get into doing. But when those things are not there, it affects everybody. Even the consumers and the producers. It affects the whole structure of the society. So if those who are operating the system in our society will not begin to understand that they are serving people, and the people know what they are doing, we are interested, we want to use these things for our daily well-being, then things will begin to flow very well.
Personally, I'm not satisfied in any way. Because you see, sometimes it will take some time before they will bring the light. Sometimes they will bring it in a epileptic way, yet they still collect their money. They don't miss to collect their money. So for me, I'm not satisfied. I think they have to do some kind of reforms in their ministry, or whatever I should call it. Understand? Because it's not the consumers that will come and do whatever that is necessary to be done. It's the power authority. They are the people that will have to do something to improve the supply. But people are not getting the regular supply needed, but they collect money on a regular basis.
We have constant light, but the tariff is actually expensive. And I don't know about other people that could not or cannot afford tariff, how they are actually managing. They should like reduce it a little. The amount for buying unit of light, they should like bring it down a little. Though I'm impressed with the amount of light we are getting currently, but it's too expensive, to be honest.
From Lagos to Enugu, Nigerians share their thoughts on the state of electricity today. Whether it's consistent power or consistent outrage, one thing is clear: electricity remains a top concern. We want to hear from you. Comment below, let us know your experience. Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
Across Nigeria, electricity has become an everyday struggle. Blackouts are no longer occasional, they are part of daily life for millions of Nigerians. In homes, families spend long hours in darkness. Parents worry about keeping food fresh. Children struggle to study. And the cost of running generators adds to household expenses in an already challenging economy. Businesses are also feeling the pinch. Shops, restaurants, and small factories often spend more on fuel for generators than they earn in daily revenue. Perishable goods spoil. Production slows. Evening sales decline. Electricity, which should be a basic necessity, has become a luxury. Experts say the crisis stems from multiple factors: technical failures and aging infrastructure in the national grid, frequent gas shortages, and operational inefficiencies in distribution companies all contribute. Maintenance outage and tariff adjustments have further reduced the supply of electricity across the country. The impact on national development is significant. Schools struggle to conduct evening classes. Hospitals depend heavily on generators to keep life-saving equipment running. Businesses lose revenue, and the cost of doing business rises. The lack of stable electricity slows economic growth and limits opportunities for millions of Nigerians. Experts recommend practical solutions: increasing electricity generation, especially through renewable sources like solar, wind, and hydro, could reduce reliance on gas. Upgrading and maintaining infrastructure, stabilizing gas supply, and encouraging private sector participation in independent power projects would help expand supply and improve efficiency. Off-grid solutions such as solar panels, mini-grids and inverters can supplement national supply, ensuring homes, schools and businesses continue to function during outages. Energy conservation, smart meters and transparent billing systems can also reduce losses and encourage reliable supply. Some businesses have already combined solar power with backup generators, cutting fuel costs by nearly half. Schools and hospitals using mini grids continue operations even when the national grid fails. Expanding these solutions nationwide could significantly reduce the impact of blackouts, saving households money and boosting productivity. For now, Nigerians wait for a lasting solution. Stable and reliable electricity is not just convenience, it is the backbone of daily life, economic growth, and national development.
My name is Dr. Emmanuel Ihechi Asonye. I am the CEO of Omenka App LLC. I created Omenka App for the preservation of Igbo language and culture. Omenka App was established in New Mexico and it is headquartered in Albuquerque, but currently we are also being registered in Nigeria. We have a website. We are also on social media because my app is primarily for the Igbo community. In 2006, something significant happened among the Igbo community. UNESCO predicted that Igbo language was going to go into extinction, and that was because Igbo people are one of the most traveled people in the whole world. So the more children are born outside of Igbo land, the more they get disconnected. The app is on iOS, it's also on Android. Access the website and download the app from there. And over 2,000 people are using the app right now. But there's an app that will teach you about Igbo culture, Igbo people. We have Igbo poems, we have riddles and jokes, we have Igbo proverbs, then we have the word section where you are going to search Igbo words. Whatever word that you can find in English, you want to make sure it is found in the app in Igbo language. And I encourage everybody from their communities, you can do what we're doing in Omenka app with your own language and with your own culture. Do not allow your culture or your language to die.
Imo State unfolds like a living poem, a tapestry of memory, aspiration, and transformation. Here, history is not settled in the past, but continues to move forward, carried in the footsteps of Imolites, whose resolve and optimism animate every corner of the land. The people and their spirit Imolites are renewed for their courage, enterprise, and intellect. From the bustling avenues of Owerri to the rolling hills of Idato, both the young and the old carry a quiet, steadfast conviction. Education is not just a means to an end, but a calling. Their ambition lives in the classrooms, in labs, in markets, and in the global Imo diaspora. Imo's cultural heartbeat is rhythmic and rich. High-life melodies mingle with gospel harmonies and modern beats, each song echoing ancestral memory and youthful vigor. Traditional dances carry stories of community, origin, and resilience, even as innovation blossoms, rooted in respect for heritage. Infrastructure and roads. Under Governor Hope Uzodimma, Imo has undergone what many describe as a road revolution. The administration claims to have delivered over 120 quality roads within 5 years. Notable among them are the dualized Owerri Olo and Owerri Okigwe roads. The Mbidi Oguta Road and 18-kilometer dual carriageway was commissioned in early 2025, aiming to boost economic activities in Uru West and Oguta LGAs, especially by connecting to the Orashi Energy Free Trade Zone. Other signature infrastructure includes the Azamta flyover to decongest traffic and the Emmanuel Iwanyam International Conference Center, which has been built to world-class standards. Governor Uzodimma has also stated that these infrastructure investments are not just for mobility, but are economic corridors intended to stimulate trade, reduce travel time, and integrate Imo's communities more closely. Under human capital development, health and education, and on health, the Governor Uzodimma administration reports a comprehensive revamp. Renovation of 305 health centers, purportedly one in each electoral ward. Establishment of 55 new primary health centers, announced in 2025 to expand access, particularly in rural areas. Construction of 3 new general hospitals at Ohaji, Oguta, and Omuma. Revitalization of the Imo State University Teaching Hospital and the Specialist Hospital, plus re-accreditation of nursing and midwifery schools. Creation of a state health insurance scheme known as Imo Health Insurance, which has reportedly covered more than 66,000 residents. Deployment of mobile clinics to reach rural and underdeserved communities. In education, Governor Uzodimma has significantly expanded tertiary education. What was once one functioning public university has grown to 3, along with a polytechnic and a college of education. He has also prioritized youth empowerment and governance. There are strong signals of financial reforms. According to some reports, Uzodimma has focused heavily on capital spending, budgeting major parts of the state resources towards infrastructure and development. Then, Imo under Emeka Ihedioha, renewal and vision. While much of the recent narrative focuses on Governor Uzodimma, it is important to acknowledge the contributions of his predecessor, Chief Emeka Ihedioha. Through his rebuild Imo agenda, Chief Ihedioha prioritized environmental renewal. There were efforts to restore drainage, improve waste management, plant community trees, and reintroduce refuse compactor vehicles. He also restructured state finances, including implementing a treasury single account for greater financial discipline and automating revenue collection to improve the state's internally generated revenue. In agriculture, Chief Ihedioha launched initiative called Rice Revolution to boost rice production, turn rural youths into farmers, and partner with the private sector for food security. For youth and sports, Chief Ihedioha's government reportedly worked on sports infrastructure across the 27 local government areas, envisioning healthy, active youth participation in sports. What truly defines Imo is its resilience. Where decay once prevailed, renewal now pauses. Where neglect reigned, leadership dares to imagine. The story of Imo is not only about roads and hospitals, it is about a people who refuse to accept stagnation, who carry their heritage with dignity, and who dare to dream of a better tomorrow. As night falls over palm-lined hills and Owerri streets, hum with life, Imo is not just a place, it is a promise built in classrooms, clinics, markets, and fields. In its people lies its greatest wealth, and in its bold, forward-looking dreams, its greatest power.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042. Thank you for joining us today here on Sunrise. And before we go, we apologize for the delay in transmission today. And you're tuned into Sunrise on Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with delightfulness. And of course, bringing you today's Sunrise, I am Deborah Wakaba, coming to you live from our studio here in Vibrant and Nogo.
And good morning to you, our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, at home, in your office, or in traffic, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful Monday morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
Yes, today is Monday, 16th February 2026, and of course we've got a power-packed morning for you here today. Well, we've got our latest news, what's trending, and of course that special sunrise vibe to help us start our day right.
So, grab that cup of coffee or tea, relax, enjoy the ride, because the sunrise is here.
Yes, and on Sunrise, we'll be starting things off with our quote of the day, with words that are powerful, words that are thoughtful, words that offers insight to whatever we do to help us stay well focused, stay well driven, and be motivated.
Yes, and we'll go straight into the day's top headline. All the key news update that you need to remain informed will be shared, hot, debated, and of course, tasty.
Yeah, and right after that, we'll be giving you our full weather forecast for today, covering cities across the southeast and beyond, so you'd know what to expect before stepping out. Or if you've stepped out already, it is to keep you throughout the rest of the day.
Then, we'll wrap things up by bringing to you our business news update. And of course, we won't let you rest without serving you the man of many parts, the sports oracle himself, commissioner of enjoyment and the mental mechanic, all packed in one person to leave you smiling.
Yeah, all right. Now moving over to our morning show inspiration segment, which is our quote for today. And our quote for today is coming from James Yeager. And in his quote it says, "The man who waits for the perfect shot dies with full magazine." I'm taking that quote again, coming from James Yeager, that said, "The man who waits for the perfect shot dies with full magazine." Now, this quote warns against paralysis by perfection. It means that if someone keeps waiting for the ideal, risk-free, or perfect moment to act, they may never act at all. And the cost of that hesitation can be failure, missed opportunity, or even destruction. So in everyday life, the message is that action beats overthinking. Progress matters more than perfection, and also waiting too long can be more dangerous than acting imperfectly. Mr. Ocha, I would like to know your own take on this quote.
All right, this is perfect for this Monday morning to energize our people, to let them know that there's no time waiting. Get up this morning, go about your business. Are you in the market? It's time to go open that store.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what challenge you faced last week, it's time to fire your shots. You don't need to waste time. Yes, James Yeager is quite accurate that the man who waits for the perfect shots, dies with full magazine. Yeah. There is never a perfect time. Once you aim and you see this light of your target, aim, fire. You don't need to wait till the perfect moment. Hence, the openest rifle may pick you, or a sniper shot may take you out.
Yes.
So what do? You start to fire, and that's quite up this morning. It doesn't matter the failures of yesteryears. It doesn't matter the challenges of yesterday. All you have to do this morning is to get up. And what's your shot? You're a businessman. Your shot is to open that shop. Keep it open. Customers will definitely walk in. You were telling me this morning that you don't have goods in your shop. Just be there. There's someone else that has those goods but doesn't have a space. Perhaps both of you will meet. So your shot is to be available, be ready, and action-packed. And that's what matters. So when you wait for the perfect time, I remember that your quote, that if fishermen wait for the sea to be calm, the storm should be over, then you won't, be able to make fishing. And you know what they say, it's the storm that makes the sailor. So this morning, James Yeager is quite apt. You don't need to wait. We're just coming out from Valentine, right?
Yeah.
And perhaps you've been eyeing the perfect lady, waiting for the perfect moment, and you couldn't make your move this Valentine. So when you take this James Eagle's quote to mind, it's telling you, don't wait any longer. Aim, take your shot, make an approach. There are only two options, either yes or no. But it shouldn't be said of you that you didn't take action. Yes, because if many men had waited for the perfect time, perhaps they won't have the good wife or the good women. And remember what they say, that behind every successful man is a woman. Because some people, took aim, they took time, and they got the perfect partner with them. So you don't need to wait. Always take action from where you are. And that's the point James Eager is making. You do not need to procrastinate. Just aim, fire, and success will follow you. In the workplace, in your business, whatever it is, there is no procrastination. Just take action. That's what matters. If you keep procrastinating, then the right opportunities will pass you by. But be ready. Aim, fire.
All right, thank you very much for that. And also, when it says perfect shot, it represents certainty, flawless condition, or total confidence, while full magazine also symbolizes unused potential, resources, or skills. Now, James Yeager saying that when his quote saying, "The man who waits for the perfect shot dies with full magazine," is saying dying with a full magazine implies having everything needed to succeed, but failing because of indecision or fear of making mistake. So let us try today to make that, even try to make that mistake first and foremost. And also, while you're making that mistake, you learn from it. And while we're also doing so, let us keep in mind that each new sunrise is a platform, is an opportunity when we learn something different every day, or simply stay more present in whatever we do. Now let us know what this quote means to you. You can drop your thoughts on our socials or at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. And up next is our weather report for today.
Yes, we'll take a look at the weather reports across major cities in the southeast today.
And we'll be starting off with Oka today. Good morning, Oka. Expect a warm and partly cloudy morning with sunshine teasing through the clouds. Temperatures will hover around 34 degrees Celsius during the day, dip into the mid-20s at night. So light clothes are your best friend today. There's a tiny chance of a brief patchy shower, but nothing too dramatic. Humidity feels tropical and the sun's heat will be noticeable by midday.
And good morning, Enugu. Welcome to the core city. It's hot and mostly partly cloudy, with temperatures climbing towards the mid-30s, around 32 to 35 degrees Celsius, under the bright sunshine and warm air. Humidity sits moderately high, giving that comfy tropical feel. There's a small chance of a quick afternoon shower or a patchy rain, but most of the day stays dry and warm. Tonight will be clear and warm.
And in Abakaliki, heat is the headline here, so you can expect a hot and steamy day with highs near the mid-30 degrees Celsius, around 36 to 37 degrees Celsius. The dry season is still in charge, so rain won't be still in the spotlight, just bright, sizzling sunshine and a warm breeze keeping things lively.
And good morning, Imo State. Over to that, my favorite city of Owerri. Today, in Owerri, is hot and humid, with temperatures also climbing into the mid-30s. The humidity will make it feel even warmer. Imagine a sauna, but with breezes. A few clouds might dance across the sky, but don't count on much rain.
And lastly, in Umuahia expects a warm southeast Nigerian day, sun, heat, and a bit of lazy cloud cover. Daytime temperatures will be around 33 to 34 degrees Celsius, and night stay comfy in the low 20s. A little humidity bumps up that feel like heat, so hydrating early and often is a smart move.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, dress light, but keep an umbrella handy. Do remember that either rain or shine, we've got you covered. And this is your weather report here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll go on a short break and we'll return with more updates.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world. You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Now we'll be taking a look at our newspaper for today, starting from The Nation, Punch, Vanguard, and The Guardian newspaper.
And joining us this morning is our in-house analyst, Mr. Res Arum. Mr. Res, it's a bright new Monday, and we're excited to see you here on Sunrise.
Well, I thank God for everything. I'm happy this morning. I feel elated. At least things are going well. Prices of goods, domestic goods, are beginning to go down a little bit.
Wow,
that's
good.
That's becoming accessible to some of us that do not belong to the higher class.
All right. We don't know that you do not belong to the higher class, but that's not a precursor for me not to ask you that signature question. And I ask.
You are still asking?
Yes. How is Nigeria treating you?
Fair.
Fair. And I can see the happiness in your face that the price of domestic and food staples are coming down. So
yes.
That's wonderful to hear. And equally with us this morning is that man of many parts, the mental mechanic, the sports oracle, Mr. Good Hope Chukuma. It's a pleasure to have you here on Sunrise.
Thank you very much. Good morning. It's a pleasure to.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see you after Valentine.
How
many people did you empower over the weekend?
Well, Valentine being a season of love, celebrating love, I just did my best. I'll just do my best. I had to, get some flowers, some papers and other things to people who are starting family, who are in love, of course.
Okay. It's good to know that you empowered a lot of persons, and there's no need to asking. I can see that Nigeria is treating you fine.
Nigeria is
You're shining.
Yes.
That's wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you on Sunrise.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Well, we'll be starting our first paper from The Nation paper, that the headline there says 2027 INEC consults over poll date, Ramadan overlap. And from the Punch headline, it says emergency plenary, National Assembly moves to shift presidential poll to February 13th. And on the Vanguard headlines, the Vanguard headline says Electoral Act harmonization, representative under pressure to abandon compulsory e-transmission of results. And from the Guardian paper, the Guardian headline there says ports users may pay more as NCS recreate multiple FX regime at 7% margin. And our first paper today starting from the Punch newspaper, where the major headline says emergency plenary, National Assembly moves to shift presidential poll to February 13th. In a surprise move, the National Assembly has convened an emergency plenary session. Lawmakers are considering shifting the presidential election date to February 13th, a move aimed at easing logistics and aligning with broader electoral timelines. The proposal has already sparked debate across party lines. Mr. Ocha, I'd like to know your take on this.
All right. It's still within the purview of the legislators to, tinker with the timetable. But I think it's within the constitutional duty of INEC to give us a framework for the election moving into 2027. INEC has said that the general election in terms of the presidency and the National Assembly, would hold on 20th. But the National Assembly, like I always say, in their wisdom, is thinking that it should better be brought forward to 13th. And I may have to bring Mr. Ress into this conversation because there are a whole lot of issues here. We are still grappling with the issue of the Electoral Act, the amendments to, move and transmit results in real time. But INEC now has come on to give us, a timetable for the forthcoming election, given the off-cycle elections in 2026, the general election in 2027. But the legislatures are wanting to, tinker with that for the election, the general election, to be brought downwards. That's the National Assembly and the presidential election to 13th. And let me get your opinion on this, Mr. Rich.
Oh, yeah. The National Assembly is thinking about shifting the election down
to 13th from 20th. Remember that INEC had put up the timetable based on the subsisting electoral act of 2022 until that of the 2026. This is the one that is in process, is signed into law. So consequently, it was based on that they fixed the presidential election on February 20th. But some Muslim Islamic groups are beginning to, indicate that it is not good, especially as it goes into the Ramadan fast. You see, during the Ramadan, people need to be a little closer spiritually to their God. And as such, that some people may not, vibrantly participate in the electoral process. And consequently, they are asking that it should be done in such a way that they'll be able to participate and effectively too. That's exactly why the National Assembly is now thinking about pushing down the dates of the presidential election. Remember that the presidential election may be coming with the National Assembly too. So if they put down on 13th, it means that during the Ramadan fast, our Islamic brothers will now concentrate in doing their fast, because if they are fasting and at the same time involved in electoral practices, in fact, it will not all go well with most of them, because during the fast, such things as very tedious and manuals are laid aside. People are set to just be spiritually up and alert, praying and all that. So the consideration is that they should be given time to do their Ramadan thing. Let me hope that Nigeria will also recognize that if there are other issues affecting other religious groups in the country, so that it will not just be about the Islamic religion, it will be about both the Christians, the traditional religion practitioners and all that, because the secular state in Nigeria, because of that secularity, there's a freedom of religion, and such freedom of religion is respected by the Constitution, enshrined in the Constitution, and should be respected by government of the day at all times. So whenever any such thing falls within the period, any major national event, national assignment falls within deep religious practices of any group in Nigeria, it should also be respected. It is not a law, but because of the intervention of the National Assembly, it's the lawmaking body. So it could come as a resolution. They are now resolving to do that. And so shall they resolve to do it subsequently if it affects other groups.
All right, that's wonderful. We need to, like you did say, we need to respect all religious views in Nigeria, being that Nigeria is a multi-ethnic religious society, and it's heartwarming that consideration is being made on that ground. There was a time we've seen an election timetable that was supposed to, where we were supposed to have an election even on a Sunday, but then it was amended due to the sanctity of Sundays to the Christian worshippers, yes, in Nigeria. And it may not be wrong if such kind of fellowship is extended to our Muslim brothers. But again, looking at this issue of election timetable, the choice of February, being that we're just coming into the new year, we're just coming out January, and do you think that the choice of February is the right way to go for the next general election?
Well, the time for election, because of the act provided for a period of time from which an election should be held. At a point, it's going to be 306, just almost about a year from, you know. So because of that, it is upon the National Assembly to actually make provisions. That is to say, amend the existing Electoral Act for the time frame for elections. It could be pushed to any other time. But remember that the constitutional takeover of government is on 29th of May. And whatever you are going to do, you must do it through the previous year. That will now proceed, that will take us to the 29th of the next year. And then with a period of election, has to now go through a period of time as contained in the Electoral Act. So that's exactly why it is so. So if government, in their wisdom, thinks about, shortening the time or elongating the time, or even making, special time for litigations after elections to wound up before the swearing in of the elected persons. It's all good for. It is the responsibility of the National Assembly to make such laws. But presently, as it is, this is where it should go. So, if they're going to change, if the Nigerians begin to yearn for a change, certainly I believe that the members of the National Assembly, those elected to represent the constituencies, will look into it and do the needful. Our problem, or the problem of Nigerians, is that sometimes when the franchise is ceded to certain persons to represent, they tend to ignore the interests of those who ask them to represent them. They tend to jettison the aspiration, the collective aspiration of the people. So it is a serious problem. People should be able to work very hard to ensure that the right persons who respect their views while representing them will be elected to represent them at the various levels of government.
All right. The other way around, thinking about that month of Ramadan, and preceding the month of Ramadan will be the Christian Easter coming up there in March or April, thereabout. But I ask, do you think that having an election coming between this holy month of Ramadan, where every Nigerian is introspective, wanting to make amendments where we are wrong and looking up to God, that would have been a very veritable period for us to have an election that will not be mad in controversy, in violence. In fact, it would have been a very good period for us to have an election that may be said to be free, fair, and credible, being that both those who are seeking offices and the generality of Nigerians would be, piously disposed to pleasing their God and their faith in this period.
And you are even talking about Ramadan, even the Christian fast of 40 years that's going to end in April, that will usher in the Easter, is still within the period of, it's going to still, because you talked about Ash Wednesday, just coming, is very close by.
Yeah.
So the Christian fasting will start. The Ramadan will also start, as we go on. So it is a period that both major religion in Nigeria, although we have other religious groups, but the two major religions in Nigeria are going to have a period of fasting, a period of peaceful, stay with God and all that. Yes, it should have been. You thought rightly, and I believe, I want to concur with you, that such period should have been a period that Nigerians would have now used to show that they are truly worshipping their God, and that they are, peaceful people
so that we'll have a very peaceful election. Because one thing is about election peaceful, then you now talk about free and being fair. And of course, if it happens within the period, of course, the period of fasting would have overwhelmed most of these religious persons from involving in, in various criminal ideas about elections, involving in vote buying, involving in crises, involving in any form of brutality, sadism, or exploitation. It would have been a very, very simple time to ensure there is peace, because it is within the period that is the most, respected period of many Nigerians. So I think it should have been that way, and that is exactly what it is. Even within the period of the election, it's going to be the period of fast, and if it so happens, they are now bringing it down to 13th, so that people will just do their wrong things and go back to fast and ask God for forgiveness, because that's exactly the implication. So they would have thought about it, because you have always said that the National Assembly, in their wisdom, which you have always tried to tell us about the wisdom of the members of the National Assembly, especially the upper chamber, excuse me.
Yes.
Especially the upper chamber. And I've always stood at my own position that the age of Methuselah has nothing to do with the wisdom of Solomon, who was much younger. So wisdom and age they are two different things. You could still be wise while old or young. It could be wise. So, the National Assembly should have, in their wisdom, thought about a period like that and make such laws that will make our elections come during our sober period, where many Nigerians are going through a kind of sober reflection on their lives. Then they will be able to respect basically all the laws that are available in Nigeria. They'll be able to uphold all the goodies that the religious practices teach and all that during these elections. So I think Nigerians should even think about that. That would be what will give us free, fair, credible, because of the three-letter of FFC, free, fair, credible election. That's always in the mouth of every analyst, every speaker on electoral issues. It is free, fair, and credible. But achieving a free, fair, and credible election in a state like Nigeria is still dependent on the people of Nigerians. What do they believe in? What do they want to uphold? You must always start the change from yourself. Let the change start from us. Let it start from the members of the Senate, members of the House of Representatives, everybody, so that we will now change our polity. What is causing our problem? Corruption. We want everything to ourselves. We want to enjoy everything. We want to have everything. On an individual basis, our personal interest is foremost. Our patriotic interest is at the backyard. Our patriotic interest is kind of buried under the earth. Nigerians, many Nigerians, in fact about many Nigerians, and let me say over 80% to 90% of Nigerians' personal interests are foremost in everything they do nationally. So we should now think about patriotism, that is, say, the interest of the country being first. If we go back to look at the ways our founding fathers lived their lives, it is better than what we presently do about our interest in Nigeria. Our founding fathers had the interest of Nigeria first. They wanted, excuse me, they wanted the unity of this country. It was upmost in their minds. And that's exactly why we started the way we did. But later on, everything went down the drain. The generation that succeeded them wanted to do things their own way and begin to rely and believe in personal interest more than the patriotic interest of our father. Can't we be patriotic? Let us be more nationalistic than we are presently are, so that everything about Nigeria will go better than it is, and there will be unity of purpose in everything we do. If you remember, each time the Super Eagles of Nigeria is playing a match against any other nation, you see all Nigerians becoming friends, becoming allies, supporting one thing, believing in one thing. So it becomes a unifying factor. So we see sports as just one thing that has shown that Nigeria can be truly united. Let me believe that we can be truly united in all other sectors, not just sports alone.
All right, that's quite apt.
Okay, thank you very much. Now moving over to our next paper, coming from the Vanguard newspaper, where the Vanguard major headline says, Electoral Act Harmonization, representative under pressure to abandon compulsory in transmission. Now pressure is mounting on the House of Representatives as they work to harmonize amendments to the Electoral Act. The major sticking point, whether to retain compulsory electronic transmission of results. Critics argue it made impractical nationwide, while supporters insist it strengthens transparency and public trust. Mr. Ocha, I would like to know your take.
All right. There's no doubt that the two chambers, would meet to harmonize the position of the law on Electoral Amendment Bill 2026, and that they both legislatures, both the House of Rep and the senators are, when their views are loggerhead with one another. You remember that when the House of Rep are of the view that the results should be transmitted in real time, the Senate's position on that has a precursor to it, where the network fails, that will have to revert to from EC8A transfer, becoming a disharmonized position. So the two chambers, the 24 members, 12 apiece, will be sitting to harmonize this position, so that the legislature will now have to, have a unified front as it comes to the electoral bill before sending it for the accent of Mr. President on that issue. And when they meet, there's no doubt, like the newspaper has pointed out, that there will be pressure on either the lower chamber to receive its position and accommodate the views of the senators. If I say the senators in their wisdom, Mr. Rest may want to disagree with me, citing that proverbial position on this issue. But Mr. Rest, what are we looking at here? Are we going to...
That is the beauty of a bicameral legislature.
So I ask, are we going to see a position or a situation where the House of Rep now toes the line of the senators, or are we going to see a more harmonized position to the thing towards the position of those you ascribe to be in the position of Solomon, that the senators this time around will listen to the younger generation being dominated by in the House of Rep to give us that part in the Electoral Act, Section 60, Subsection 3, to read the result be transmitted in real time without any precursor of whether the dam broke down or there's a network failure, to give it that backing of the law, where the judiciary will look at that section and say, this is what the law says, and INEC must comply with that.
Okay, let me even start from the beginning. The Ojurudi committee level, there's a joint committee of both Senate and Reps on the Electoral Act reforms. And during the joint committee, they sat with consultants, they sat with communication experts, they sat with INEC, They sat with all that is necessary to sit with special reference to assessing the level of infrastructure on what they intend to do. And during those sittings, it was approved, it was taken. They were convinced, both committees were convinced that transmission in real time of election results is possible and can be achieved. Now, the question is, from what point, and they endorsed it and presented same both to the House of Reps and to the Senate. So, and I'm now asking the question, from what point did the Senate now begin to think about a different thing? What happened? Who brought in the proposal? Who gave the idea? Because initially it was not even discussed in the Senate, in the plenary. It was not. It was when they were going to pass it one after the other that they now left that section so that what was contained or what is contained in 2022 Act should now remain there until the people started making demands and until some senators began to, protest. And that was how we came about what is happening. So you ask yourself, that they earlier had agreed on that. And during plenary too, as a committee level, they have agreed. At the committee level, by the Senate level, led by the Mongonu committee, they also agreed on that. At the House of Reps, the committee agreed. So the question is, when did it come in? It was not until this present situation that happened last week, where there was need, when people started protesting that they did not even tamper or touch Section 60, subsection 2 of the 2022 Electoral Act, that now last week the Senate now came on Tuesday, was it on Tuesday or Wednesday, within that Tuesday, and now adopted a new transmission, expunging real time, as well as saying it is going to be transmitted both electronically and manually, putting a proviso. And what is manual transmission? What does it imply? Does it imply discretion, or is it mandatory? That is the question. Is this thing now mandatory, or is it? And did they add the word shall? The presiding officer shall. These are some of the things that we are looking at the bill. But the way it is, during the harmonization, of course, the 24 members will still look at it from the perspective of party politics.
All right.
I'm talking about party politics now. The members of APC in the National Assembly are more than any other. And the members of the opposition political parties in that committee are less. So if they are going to look at it from a party politics perspective, of course, the APC position will fly, because we have seen that the APC position is what the Senate has passed. Okay. And as such, it will fly. The members of the opposition in that harmonization team, they are just less. How many of them? They are just less. So there's nothing that will really happen that will be different from the position of the Senate.
All right, that's quite in-depth and apt. Thank you very much. And moving on from the newspaper reviews, we'll look at other issues that are opening up over the weekend. And it has to do with Mr. P2B of the Labour Party. But before I bring you on this, I call for that video where Mr. P2B was addressing ADC members in Akwa Ibom State.
They want to continue to do the candidate. Why are you scared? Why are you scared? They are counting on. They are what have the senate of. They are everything. Why are you scared? Come on now. Let's go back for the competition. If you don't know today, the federal government of Nigeria does not want me, Peter Obi, to be a candidate of any party, but I'll be candidate. On 7 days after. True. 7 days, exactly 7 days after. Exactly. Aneke said that the chairman is no longer chairman. Within the 7 months of death judgment, affecting the embassy chairman, because P2B is gone. Because P2B is gone. I don't know we are doing everywhere. They want to show everyone continue to do the candidate. Why are you scared? Why are you scared? They are counting on. They are what have the senate of. They are everything. Why are you scared? Come on now. Let's go back for the competition. They have reduced campaign time. They don't reduce campaign time to 3 months. Why are you reducing it?
Seeing Mr. P2B speak about democracy and the reason for his leaving Labour Party, and immediately he left Labour Party, the issue, the crisis that lingered, litigation that has lingered concerning the leadership of that Labour Party, was resolved pronto, and he is challenging both senators and the state governors that democracy has to be upheld in Nigeria. In fact, in his word, we must practice that democracy. Mr. Rest, just in half a minute, what's your summation of that video that we just watched?
Oh, well, the summation is that they actually want to squeeze out interest from P2B because they want to frustrate him wherever he goes. P2B left Labour Party because of the crisis, and immediately he left, the lingering crisis, the judgment was given. They now saw that he has left the Labour Party because if he had been in Labour, he would still remain the presidential candidate impeccably. Nobody will contest the leadership of that party, and of course the presidency on the platform of that party. So now he has gone to ADC. They saw that he has opposition. He has people that will contest with him. So they actually want a situation where he will have difficulties. And why is our politicians very scared, believe in frustrating? They do not want to test their popularity at the polls. They should liberalize politics for the people to test their popularity at the polls so that the best candidates will emerge and will have a better Nigeria.
To emerge for us to have a better Nigeria. And that's where we'll take that for today. Yes, quite out. A better Nigeria should be the key word that everyone should remember.
All right, thank you very much for that. And that is all for today's newspaper review here on Sunrise. Please don't forget you can grab physical copies from your favorite vendor or catch the e-paper online for more broader information. And now up next is our sports update from the man himself, Good Hope, the sports oracle. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much. In the world of sports, yesterday and just last weekend, we had a lot of football and a lot of other competition that had to come our way. But let's just focus on the scores and what happened, how it happened, just the scores. That's what we're going to do today. Then, looking at it, we are also talking about what it is and how it is in the world, in the newspaper headlines. And just by the side, that's where we're going to be taking our scores and how it happened. You're seeing that in the FA Cup, Birmingham and Leeds, they had a 1-1 draw. Grimsby, they lost to Wolves. Grimsby actually won Manchester United. You see what's happening? Wolves that are just below the league table. Well, it's fine. Oxford and Sunderland won Oxford by 1 goes to 1-0. Stoke City lost to Fulham, and Arsenal being the top of the league and also the top of everything you could mention that is in the European football right now. And Arsenal has been the problem right now in the season. Just 4 points. We're going to see what's going to happen in the Premier League. They won Wigan Athletic 4 goals to 0. Now in the La Liga, Oviedo lost to Athletic Club, and Rayo Vallecano won Atletico Madrid of Ademola Lookman. Levante lost to Valencia, and Mallorca and Betis, they had a 0-0 draw. And then Syria, we have Udinese also, they lost to Sassuolo. And in the Bundesliga, we have Leipzig and Wolfsburg, they played a 2-2 draw. Then in Nigerian Professional Football League, finally, we're having our Rangers International Football Club of Enugu were winning their game just yesterday against Wiki Tourists. That's actually how it has happened in the world of sports just over the weekend. And yes, thank you very much.
All right, that's quite interesting to know that the Nigerian Premier League is still powering on, and thank you for that in-depth analysis. From sports to our business updates, looking at the Nigerian stock market as at February 13, 2026, being Friday, the Nigerian equities market ended on a bullish note on Friday, and we're happy to inform you that that winning streak we saw continued as the market capitalization gained approximately 2.37 trillion naira, buoyed by significant interest in blue chip companies. And when we look at the all-share index, we saw that the SI rose by 2.06% to close at 182,313.08 points, and the market capitalization closed at 117.03 trillion. Looking at the market breadth, it was positive, and there were 53 gainers versus 33 losers. And when we look at the volume and value, we saw that over 936 million shares were traded, valued at roughly 52.7 billion naira. And when we'll take a look at the market drivers or the leaders, who saw that First Hold Company was the most traded stock by volume, followed by Zenith Bank and United Capital. And all these sectoral performance, the all major indices closed in the green, with banking and oil and gas sector seeing the most substantial buying pressure. And when we look at the Naira performance as of Friday, we saw that the Naira showed a mixed performance, demonstrating relative stability in the official window, while seeing a slight appreciation in the parallel market. And that's all we can take on the business update this morning.
All right, thank you very much for that. This is where we draw the curtain here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. It's always a pleasure having you here every morning on Sunrise. Please do not forget to follow us across all our social media handles, all at Aneke TV, or call our phone number 070-3043-7110. I am Deborah Wakuba.
All right, and thank you, Mr. Rest, for those in-depth analysis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you. And to you, man of many parts, Mr. Gudu, it's always a pleasure to have you here on Sunrise.
Thank you very much.
And I'm Uche Osai. On behalf of all of us here at Sunrise on Aneke TV, we say thank you for watching, and keep watching till we come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history. One station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on The Insight this morning. The Insight is that program where we bring to you heartbeats of issues, topical headlines, policies, helping in shaping our nation. And today, we look at INEC. We tackle a fundamental pillar of our democracy, the power of the vote, as the continuous voters registration exercise is full gear across the nation. Many in the core city states are asking, is my voice being heard? Joining us to provide clarity on PVC collection, the new digital registration phase, and how Enugu is tackling voter apathy is the head of voter education and publicity for INEC, Enugu State. Sir, Achumie Chuka, you're welcome to The Insight.
Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, viewers at home.
You're welcome, sir. Before we get to this conversation, let me start asking what is happening.
We're in the second phase of voter registration.
Okay.
You know, we have done the first phase. Now we enter the second phase, which we started on the 2nd of February. And it's expected to last for 50 days. After which probably the commission might deem it fit that we go on again on a third phase before the election of 2027 comes up.
All right. Now, let's get into this PVC issue. Remember that there was the phase started around August 2025. And I want to ask, as at that time, we knew that the turnout was very, very low. But I mean to ask, as early as this 2026, we are in February, what is the current percentage of collected permanent voters card in Enugu State? And what's the last mileage or the plan to get those in your custody out?
Well, when we talk of the collected PVC, you know it's not done at the headquarters.
Okay.
PVCs are collected at various INEC local governments in the state, including the headquarters, because we have a registration center too at the headquarters. Okay. Now, if you talk of the percentage, well, it's not much, but rather we have people who comes for transfer, updates, and new registration. But for now, I will say at least 0.2% of the previous ones being collected.
0.2%.
Yes.
Can we interpret what 0.2% means?
I will say that the figure is insignificant compared to what we have in stock in various local governments.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's insignificant compared to what we have in stock.
What people is collecting on daily basis.
That means the turnout is still low.
The turnout as per people who comes for the already, the permanent PVC might be said to be low. But that of the people who come for fresh registration, transfers, updates, may not be low.
Okay, so let's look at those who come for fresh registration and all that. Can we say that the awareness is making impact?
I think it's making a great impact. It's making.
Sir Chuka, what you're telling me is that
it's making.
What you're saying is that if we call for an election tomorrow, we will not hear voter party in Enugu State.
I wouldn't say so totally, because you should realize that voter apathy is not about people who register. When we talk of voter apathy, we talk of people who already have gotten their PVC but willingness to come out to vote on election day. It's another thing. So it's not all about getting the PVC or registering with Aneke and having your PVC. Remember, some people come to register to get their PVC, not necessary for them to cast their votes. Therefore, for other reasons, which includes, for personal identification, either in the bank or some other places. So PVC registration does not only end with somebody using it on the day of election. They may have some reasons. Although it's now left on Aneke to do an extensive, publication why people should have that PVC and use it, on the election day.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's look at this voter education. Let's segment it: pre-election and election. What is the voter education in this pre-election period all about now? Is Aneke engaged seriously in that campaign?
Yeah, we are doing that. At least we have both at the national level and the state level, even at the local government level.
Okay.
We conduct stakeholders, meeting. We go on, in markets and churches, sensitization. We only use the chiefs at various villages and their town criers to educate people why they should not just only come to collect their PVC, but they should exercise their civic rights.
Okay.
Because I believe, though not realizing, their future lies on it so much.
All right. Their future lies on it so much.
Exercising their civic rights.
Okay. Now, let's look at, when you were talking, you spoke about the new registrations going on.
Yeah.
More than those who are coming to collect. The bulk is on those who are registering. Yes, though we may not tie this to a turnout in an election. But I want to ask, what is the percentage for those who are just turning 18? What is it like? Whom we would classify as will be new or first-time voters if there's an election tomorrow?
Well, the percentage I would say is about 5 to 10%.
5 to 10%.
Yes.
And 5 to 10%, do you think, from your experience in this position, do you think is significant enough given the population of Enugu State?
Remember, this is not just a fresh registration, it's just a continuous something.
Okay.
And we are looking at it from the point of people who turned 18 years after the previous election. So, holistically, we may not expect it to be so much. Because, remember, we may not use the yardstick of Enugu State to measure. Because remember, people from other states who are residing in Enugu, they probably might decide to cast their vote on election day in Anambra, even in Lagos, in any of the state of the federation, still goes through Enugu.
Okay.
Are you getting me? So you may not necessarily say, for instance, it may not be possible to give you an accurate data of what we get on daily basis.
Okay.
But if we look at it at the number of registrants we register in Enugu alone, fine, it's okay. But remember, all the people who registered on a daily basis in Enugu State may not necessarily cast their votes here on election day.
Okay.
So their number may not add up to the total number of registrants in Enugu State.
All right. Now, what you're telling me is that there's data available, but it may not be handy now. Aneke has that data when it comes to the age of at least the first-time voters and all that.
Yes.
All right. Something worries me more, which is the number of PVCs, uncollected PVCs that you have in your office or across your offices. What do we do to ensure that these cards get to their owners? And what is Aneke doing?
Well, let me be frank about this thing. You know, at times when we use the word uncollected PVCs, we fail to ask, reasons why most of these PVCs may be uncollected. Say, for instance, a student here who resides in Enugu during the registration might register here in Enugu. But for one reason or the other, he may not collect his permanent PVC within the duration of his, the academic period here. Probably he finishes, his program here, went back to his state, and we now entered into another, voter registration cycle. Remember, this person has already done registration in Enugu, and his PVC, his permanent PVC may have been returned to Enugu state from where he registered. He's now in another state. He may not deem it fit now to come back to Enugu again now to collect his PVC, the permanent one. He decided now to do, go back to Aneke again and claim that he lost his permanent card, or probably he may not have collected his permanent card. Aneke now will do a refresher of new one by now issuing another PVC to him. The one in Enugu is still lying there as uncollected. So there's no way you expect the same person to come back again to collect that PVC. This time around now you have two PVCs existing for one name.
Okay.
So what the commission now will do, maybe after the the registration, they look at these things, do what we now call AFIS, and now give a directive of what we do with all those uncollected.
Sorry to interject.
Yeah.
Do what you now called
AFIS.
AFIS, please.
Yeah.
Explain for the sake of our audience.
Now what it now means, say for instance now, somebody might register last year. Unfortunately, he's still, he's no longer living this year.
Okay.
Or somebody might register here in Enugu state, travel back to his own state, or for one reason or the other, he's transferred to another state. When he goes to that state now, he now tries to do a second registration. No matter how you pressured him, whether you have registered before, he will say, no, I have not registered. INEC mistakenly might go back again to do a second registration now, which is double registration. During the ethics now, the system now will detect that it is still the same name existing in two places. So one will be cancelled, returning one.
All right. And do you usually cancel this double registration?
Definitely they do it, and that is why we don't always give the data of registration in a particular locality. Because I might tell you now, say for instance, the number of our registrants in Enugu yesterday is 10. During the AFIS, the Abuja might come up with 6. Which one do you take? Is it 10 or 6? So we only wait until Abuja finishes their own and come out with the actual. That is now when we can now tell you this is the actual number of registrants we have in a particular area.
All right. You know why I was so particular that you explain these things? The notion allegedly is that this is what enables these political parties and politicians to be able to rig election. But now that you're explaining it, at least one is able to know that that may not be feasible.
But even at that, there's no way double registration will give you a room to rig an election.
Okay.
Because of the beavers we use now on election day.
Okay.
Once you cast your vote, all the data, the information about the person is queued into the system.
All right.
If you come back again for a second time, the beavers will identify that you have passed through it.
Okay.
So there's no way to have a double registration.
All right. Yeah. Now that you've brought up the issue of beavers, but let me first address the issue around the students, because these are key critical issues, and this is a population that we really need to, cater for in our election. You spoke about students, and we know that Enugu State is a student area. And I want to ask, what programs do you have in terms of voter education for the high population of students in Enugu State? Give SUT, INEC, IMT, and the rest of them. There are more.
We collaborate with all the institutions in Enugu State through their student union leaders. Even at times, we normally write to the VCs that we want to have an audience with the students, which we are normally given.
Is granted?
Yes, it's always granted. So in so doing, we educate them the needful of going to obtain their own PVC. And while doing it equally, we go along with the ICT department, so that as we're educating them, people who have not registered before, we have opportunity of doing that.
Okay. And is there a way of assessing if these engagements yield desired results?
Yes, it does.
It does?
Yes.
Okay. Now, while you were answering the previous question, you brought up the issue of beavers, and I want to know, what is the feedback you receive from Enugu voters regarding beavers? That's the voter accreditation system, bimodal voter accreditation system. What is the feedback you get during voter education when you interact with people in these localities?
Actually, when people don't understand the functionality of beavers, they seem to doubt the way it functions.
Okay.
But the truth, as an insider, will tell you that it's a game changer in our electioneering system here in Nigeria this time around. This is a machine you cannot easily manipulate. That is one thing with beavers. You cannot easily manipulate it. Like during the time we are using a card reader and all that. But the beavers this time around is not easily to be manipulated. Once it records a figure, there's no way we change it. Okay. Most of the things that happens in an election period is not as a result of poor functioning of the beavers or whatever. It's just a human error.
Human error?
Yeah, it's very human error.
Okay. But during your voter education, do you explain this to the people as to the importance? Because like you did say, there is a lot of misinterpretation on the functions of the beavers. Is it simplified for the people to understand this technology, especially for the elderly?
Yeah, if a question of that comes up, we take time to explain it to people.
You take time to explain it to people?
Sure.
All right, let's speak to the human errors that you spoke to. Yeah. It's very critical that we don't have these human errors. It has a way of eroding trust on your organization, because when there are issues, the first to be mentioned is INEC. And you're speaking to the authenticity and the functionality of beavers. Now, what are these human errors and how do we minimize them to ensure that the people are able to trust INEC going into a future election?
Human errors is about being sincere in ourselves, doing the right thing, irrespective of who is supervising you or not. Let's take, for instance, on election day. Beavers does record the actual thing that happens on that election day. But probably in compiling the result manually.
Sorry, let me interject again. You said something. Beavers records
what happens in the election day accurately without missing a word.
Without missing a word?
Anything at all.
So why do you have controversies?
The controversies you have, that is where I now talk of human error coming in it.
Okay.
Beavers will be saying 1. Probably the person who is recording the figures now will say 2. Or after the recording of what the beavers actually accredited on election day on Form EC8A, moving that results to the next level, you see a lot of human interference. Are you getting me?
Okay.
Maybe changing the figures already in the Form EC8A as you get to Form EC8B. Okay. So that is where the human interference comes in.
Okay. Now, are there modalities in place moving forward to see that such human errors rarely occur? Because I know you conduct training for these personnel.
Yeah.
Is there any, formal training to ensure that it is? You may tell me that yes, where humans we may not guarantee total adherence, but is there any mechanism in place to see that these things minimized going into a future election?
Definitely there is. There is no election that INEC conduct without engaging people in the strenuous training. What they should do, their do's and their don'ts. But you know, there are limits you could control people. You can only say, you may not be there as it is, being a size. Are you getting me? And you should remember, most of these people will engage in an election day, in as much as they are partly INEC staff, probably because we engage them. They are ad hoc. They are not permanent, they are not permanent INEC staffs. Are you getting me? They are, the oath of allegiance to them on the commission cannot be compared to that of a permanent staff. Who knows that his job is at stake if he goes contrary to the rules and regulations of the commission?
Okay.
Are you getting me? But these people you engage, they are just Nigerians like every other Nigerian. Their commitment cannot be compared to that of a permanent staff of an INEC.
But have there been instances where you prosecute some of these individuals?
The Cross River is a living example to it, where a professor was sentenced to prison for 3 years for election manipulation.
And you think that will serve as a deterrent to other people?
Well, I believe it will, but the most important thing are being sincere to ourselves.
Okay. That's
our prayer.
But the Igbos have this saying that na okena no guarankena de rona azo de nangiga, meaning that the rat in the home tells the one outside that there's a fish, somewhere in the house, literally. Have there been instances where you take punitive measures against your own staff, not ad hoc staff this time around, when there are instances of such human error?
There are so many instances to make reference to. There are cases where you have where staff are interdicted or even suspended or even somebody dismissed for engaging in election malpractices. So there are so many cases of it.
All right. Now, sorry I'm throwing this way, but we need to talk about these things. When we talk about voter party in Enugu State, for example, you know that the key issue when we interact with people is that usually they rarely trust that their votes will count. And I want to ask, during your voter education, what do you do to ensure people that their votes will count going forward?
At times it baffles me to hear people saying vote counting and vote not counting. As far as INEC is concerned, remember our duty is to conduct a transparent and as election that will be accepted by all. That's the aim of INEC. And with the introduction of Vivas, as I told you, it's a step in the right direction to see that every vote counts in an election. And we want to encourage the electorate. Don't just cast your vote and go. Be there to see that actually after the election the presiding officer does the right thing supposed to do. Count your vote as the law says and announce it before you people.
Okay.
That to a reasonable extent will help to reduce the lack of trust.
Okay.
In the election process.
But Mr. Chime, yes, I know you've spoken to the duties of INEC to conduct credible, fair and credible election. But usually, you would agree with me that we always end up in litigation as a result of not meeting usually this standard that we dictate on what election should be about.
But you should remember, there is no way you conduct an election you will meet 100% standard of the people's expectation.
100% standard of the people's
or even close to that. Do you know why? INEC is just like a law court.
Okay.
You know, in a litigation, the winner will always praise judiciary. They have done well. Judiciary has come, to stay. The same thing applies to INEC. Who goes to court? In most cases is the loser. Let's turn it around. and is the winner, you find out he will not go to court. He will praise the commission and now says that the commission has abided by the rules and regulations as as stipulated by the constitution.
Okay.
So it's neither here or there.
It's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Look at what you told me. Looking at what you told me about the beavers, his functionality, what he has the ability to do, speaking to credibility.
It's not in doubt.
That's not in doubt. Then I mean to ask. Sorry, I have to give you it. This controversy about electoral reform, especially as it has to do with that section 60, subsection 3. If the beavers is this credible, why are we having this situation where some elected officials feel that we can have reliable transmission of results in real time as opposed to transfer of this very result manually through from EC8A?
Well, if you look at INEC guideline, it is clearly, it is clearly stipulated there that result could be transferred at any time.
Sir, could.
That results can be transferred.
Okay.
And in the previous off-season elections, you find out that all the elections we conducted, result is transmitted on real time.
Okay.
In all the previous elections, and even our former chairman has made it very clear that the network is there is network in almost 98% of INEC units where we conduct the election.
All right.
So the issue of real-time transmission of results or whatever shouldn't come in, and I believe it is not the problem of the commission.
All right. It is not the problem of the commission.
And the commission has not said anything
to that effect.
Yes.
But one-on-one, you mean to tell me that INEC on their part is not bothered, not disturbed if it is given the backing of the law that it must be transmission in real time with the backing of the law? Because why we bring up this issue is that when you look at the litigation pre or post 2023 election, the courts didn't want to go into this issue of transmission for the fact that it has no legal backing. It is at the mercy of INEC to choose the options here. So I ask, INEC has not spoken, but one-on-one, is INEC bothered in the issue of either real-time transmission of this result?
INEC is an institution that is established by law. We are guided by law, irrespective of our INEC election manual. We have what we call the Electoral Act 2. We are guided under the ambit of the Constitution. So whatever we do is in line with the Constitution.
Okay.
So, like you asked, INEC is not bothered. If the law says it must be transmitted real time, so be it. I don't think the commission will have a problem with it.
Okay. All right. The commission wouldn't have a problem with it. The commission is there to follow what the law says. All right. That's quite encouraging. Now, moving away from the issue of beavers and all that, let me get back to here in Enugu. And I want to know what INEC in Enugu is doing in terms of election security, because it's become very important going forward.
We have what we call ISIS. It comprises all the security agencies in Enugu State. It's not just about Enugu State, throughout the Federation, even at, the Federal Capital Territory. We have series of meetings with them to discuss about the security, especially the flashpoints in every election. Even as we are doing registration now, we are cooperating with them.
Okay. INEC knows the flashpoints during election. You do, and there is a sufficient arrangement to contend with them as we move forward.
And that is why, even in the last previous election, you didn't have any, serious cases of, we don't have any serious problem security-wise in any of our units or local government.
Okay. All right. On that note, Sir Achime, we'll go on a short break. And when we return, we'll continue to probe these issues with INEC. Stay with us.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Thank you for staying with us, and if you've just been joining us on The Insight, we'll be speaking with Sir Achime Chuka, who is the HOD, Voter Education and Publicity, INEC, Enugu State, and we'll be looking at INEC voter awareness in 2026. Sir Achime, yes, we were talking about security before we went on that break, and you are assuring us that INEC is prepared, especially as it has to do with flashpoints across the 17 local governments in Enugu State.
Yeah.
Okay.
I prepare for it.
So we can tell people whenever INEC calls for an election, they should all troop out without fear of intimidation.
Even the previous election could attest to it.
Okay.
We don't have any serious issue in any of the local governments.
All right. That's quite encouraging. Now, let's track back a bit. We started with the issue of PVC collection. Let's get to what you are doing for the disabled people in our community as it has to do with PVC collection, the awareness and preparedness for the disabled.
Previously, it seems that people with disability are not given serious attention. But if you look from 2023 election, INEC seems to have given them a special place in whatever we are doing. At times we organize a stakeholders meeting with them, we invite them,
okay,
discuss with them. Even in all the INEC activities, we engage them too. If they come to registration, we give them special attention. Even on the election day, they are giving special attention whatever INEC is doing. And INEC has already designed a model which they normally use on election day to enable them identify the candidate of their choice or the party of their choice. So I think INEC has accorded them a special recognition in most of the activities we undertake now.
Okay, and we'll see a greater participation of these people.
They are participating.
Okay, all right. In the same vein, I asked for the aged. What is the arrangement for the aged, especially when it comes to registration, vote, PVC collection, and the election day proper?
The same respect we accord to people with disability is the same respect we accord to them.
Okay.
Pregnant people, aged people, once they come and you identify that they are present there, you accord them the right of first to attend to.
Okay.
Whatever we do.
Okay, the right of first to attend to.
Yeah.
But I ask, the aged, there's no mechanism to meet them where they are. They have to be able to go to your centers.
No. If you recall, during the first phase of registration, our registration was centralized on INEC local government offices. Considering the complaint from the registrants, both the PWOs and all these things, this second phase now, INEC now decides to move the registration nearer and closer to them by now putting centers in most of our wards at every locality so that it will be very easy for them to do their registration.
Okay. and that will continue moving forward.
Definitely.
All right, that's quite.
The time will come, maybe before the election, we might even go down to some units.
All right. When we were speaking earlier, when we started about this awareness, you remember quite well, you did mention about the religious body, but I want to track back a bit, given the fact that from data available, the notion is that there is always apathy in southeast Nigeria. And speaking to voter education, I want to ask, what is the nature of collaboration or the working relationship between Aneke in Enugu State and religious bodies in Enugu State in terms of voter awareness?
Just like every other organization, we don't accord any special recognition to any particular body. During our stakeholders meeting, we extend an invitation to all of them, and at times we send our staff from the department on Sundays. They go to most of these churches, especially the churches that we always assume to have a very large crowd, to sensitize them on the activities of Aneke, not just about registration, on the activities of Aneke, which includes the ongoing registration, the upcoming election, and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is it the needed results?
That is the reason why we are going to them, and we feel it yields results.
Okay.
Because in most cases, once you go there, you find out there are people there who are not even registered, but you try to convince them why they should. And the next day you see them coming up to register.
All right. Is there such collaboration with traditional rulers and traditional institutions as well?
Like I said earlier, we normally have sensitization at the local government level through the town union presidents, traditional rulers of various towns, even at one level. So our local, at the local, government offices, we probably have an extension of voter registration department there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it's encouraging that you say that all this engagement is yielding the needed results, and awareness is on the increase as well.
Actually, it's yearly.
So when we come for election, we wouldn't see issues around apathy, because the last time I spoke with you, I saw the pain. You are so concerned about voter apathy in Southeast. Is that changing, or the pain is still there?
Like I said, registration is one thing, and making judicious use of that PVC is another.
Okay.
You can take a horse to the stream. You may not necessarily force the horse to drink. On Aneke part, we are doing a lot. It's not just about Aneke.
Okay.
Even the media houses are equally involved. Civil society organizations are involved. Student unions are involved. Sensitizing people, the need that they should participate fully in all Aneke, the activities. It's not about me, about you. It's about us. Because if you are involved, you will be part of determining and deciding who is going to govern you. If you don't like a government, sitting on the fence wouldn't solve that problem.
Okay.
You come out and be part of the change you are asking for by casting your vote. This is the only way we can have that change we are looking for.
Okay, the only way we can have that change we are looking for. Yeah, I know you're speaking to these issues, but let me stretch it further. Because, why I saw this line, I remember vividly during our first encounter. And I asked, as an Igbo man, quite experienced in the affairs of Aneke, you've seen so many elections. And I ask, what do you see that we lose as a people by not participating as it should be in election? Are there pros and cons from it?
In determining the strength of a particular region, you must take into consideration the turnout of that particular region in every election. If the turnout is high, the contestants, especially at the federal level, will accord that region special attention.
Okay.
Knowing fully well that the vote that comes from that region will one way or the other have an ending effect of the final result.
Okay.
I don't know if you get where I'm going.
Yes.
Now, but if the turnout of that particular region, let's also assume we have a low turnout or voter apathy on the day of election, you can't expect the winner to take the region serious. Knowing fully well that whether they cast their vote or not, their number will be significant in determining who wins the election or not.
All right.
Are you getting me? So there is every need that the Southeast will participate fully in anything concerning election. We're asking for presidency as a slot to come to Southeast. If our number is low, do you expect other region to make up your number? Charity begins at home. We will first of all show the people that we have the might to decide first. Then we will now seek other people's vote to make up the difference for a candidate to prevail on election. So I see it as a duty that every eligible voter that is up to the age of 18 in the Southeast should endeavor to make out time to go and obtain his PVC and use it equally.
All right. That's quite apt, and especially the way you've explained it makes it quite vivid. There's no doubt that determines what would occur to any region, especially from the point of the participants in terms of the contenders in an election. It determines their policy direction for every region, giving credence to that 5% comment sometime in the past. It's all right. Now that we are with you, what is your electoral calendar in this 2026?
Now we're in the second phase of voters registration, which by the policy of the commission will last for 50 days.
Okay.
We are now looking forward that probably the commission will come up with the electoral calendar, which will flow to 2027, the election period. We cannot do it if they didn't look at, because it has to be guided by the electoral act. Every Aneke activities is timed to law. So for now we are waiting for the commission to come out with the electoral timetable.
Okay.
For the remaining period.
Okay. So until that comes out, everything seems to be stagnant. We need to move with
Not necessarily everything is stagnant. There are some activities that must be done irrespective of whether the electoral act is out or not.
Okay.
Like towards the towards the end of this month, we'll be conducting the FTT, the council election, and we're equally looking forward for senatorial election here in Enugu anytime soon. And there are some other off-cycle election in some states ongoing too.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. There seems to be a part that we're missing, and that's the level of your partnership with CSOs, and if they're involved in your voter awareness as well.
Yes, they are.
They are? And they are participating.
They are participating. And we're actually planning to have a stakeholders meeting, maybe anytime next week.
Okay.
And we all all the CSOs will be invited.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Partnering with us.
Okay. Before I let you go, just one more question, and it has to do around human errors. I know you've spoken quite clearly about this issue, but one thing is certain: you cannot rule out human errors in election. Not from the perspective of Aneke now, but for as an experienced person, what do we do moving forward to see that this issue of human error is reduced to the barest minimum? And I ask this question as it regards the deployment of ad hoc staff in any election. shouldn't we look at alternatives? Being that INEC really have total control on these ad hoc staffs.
I don't think there's any other alternative. But I feel that the best way to control the human error is one, telling ourselves the truth.
Truth.
Telling ourselves the truth. Doing what you feel is right, even when nobody is monitoring or supervising you. Being involved, being committed, and then making our time to monitor the process, see what is going on. I think to a reasonable extent it will reduce human error.
Making our time to monitor the process. That's on the part of the voters.
On the part of the voters. Okay. Monitor the process. Be part of the supervisory aspect of it. Cast your votes. Don't disrupt the process. Stay some few meters out. Wait for the conclusion of the election. Allow the presiding officer to announce the results. And be sure that is what he counted, is what he announced. I hope that will help not only just checkmating the presiding officer, it will equally put fears in the minds of the operators.
Okay.
That day.
All right. But finally, this is not, I know this may be a question for the national body INEC, but I will ask you as a Nigerian, and from how well is spoken about the beavers, its functionality, its credibility. Let me ask, on the sideline, do you think Nigeria is prepared and may have the capacity for electronic voting?
Well, for now, there's no law for it.
Okay.
Until we get there.
Until we get there.
The commission will now say whether we are prepared or not.
All right.
They're looking at it generally. I don't think there's anything much different between what we are practicing now and when we decide to go full biometric in the election process.
Okay.
There's not much difference. Assuming the law now says results transmission real time. The step to full biometric is not far.
Okay. All right. Sachme, before I finally let you be, you've been in INEC. You're quite experienced.
Definitely, by your grace.
And by this year, we'll have off-cycle election. Next year, 2027, will be a general election. From your experience, if INEC is to do something different and better, what would that be?
On what aspect?
In terms of the general functionality of INEC as regards elections.
On the part of INEC, I think we are doing all we could as human.
Okay.
We only ask that the people we engage will share the same belief as the permanent staff, so that doubt about the final result will be reduced. If you look at what happened in Anambra, I don't think in Anambra, last Anambra chief government election, there wasn't any litigation. If we could get it right, I feel in the general election, we can hopefully do so. It could be repeated.
All right. And that's all for today on The Insight. You've heard from the man himself, Achume Chuka, HOD, Voter Education and Publicity, INEC, Enugu State. Remember, the power is in your hand. And according to him, you should participate, monitor the process, follow the process, engage the process. And that way, you would surely have a credible outcome. So we'll come your way, same time, on Monday. I still remain your host, Uche Osai and Sachme. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me in your studio.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
My name is Dr. Emmanuel Ihechi Asonye. I am the CEO of Omenka App LLC. I created Omenka App for the preservation of Igbo language and culture. Omenka App was established in New Mexico, and it is headquartered in Albuquerque, but currently we are also being registered in Nigeria. We have a website. We are also on social media, because my app is primarily for the Igbo community. In 2006, something significant happened among the Igbo community. UNESCO predicted that Igbo language was going to go into extinction, and that was because Igbo people are one of the most traveled people in the whole world. So the more children are born outside of Igbo land, the more they get disconnected. The app is on iOS, it's also on Android. Access the website and download the app from there. And over 2,000 people are using the app right now. But there's an app that will teach you about Igbo culture, Igbo people. We have Igbo poems, we have riddles and jokes, we have Igbo proverbs, then we have the word section where you are going to search Igbo words. Whatever word that you can find in English, you want to make sure it is found in the app in Igbo language. And I encourage everybody from their communities, you can do what we're doing in Omenka app with your own language and with your own culture. Do not allow your culture or your language to die.
As technology continues to advance, artificial intelligence is finding its way into every aspect of our lives, including education. But as school experience with AI teachers and virtual classrooms, one question remains: can we trust AI to educate our children? Today we hit the street to find out what Nigerians think.
I wouldn't trust AI to, but they can inform. There's a difference between education and information. Education is like training, taking over. You have a teacher in school. You should listen to your lecturer. It's not about what somebody says. Or this is garbage in, garbage out. Even those of us who use computer know that at a stage computer gets confused on which word to put. The same thing applies to those of you who use Google to travel. At a stage, Google can carry you to another place. So you can consult AI when the need arises. It's especially for research work. If you are writing your project now, there are things you want to get to know. You ask AI. AI will tell you. You put it in your work. Or if you are a student, for instance, or you are doing a research. Not that things you are supposed to learn in school, then you drop it and AI will take over.
Yeah. Because it's more understanding than anything. It's more they are more understanding.
One thing there is that change is the only thing that is constant. In this era, if you say that you wouldn't want your children to learn through AI or whatever, that means you don't understand the extent that AI is going. Yes, of course, they must have to learn through the use of AI, but that cannot replace the involvement of human beings, because AI may be efficient, but it doesn't have that empathy that human beings have. So there are certain things embedded in nature, made by God himself, that no technology can reproduce. And those things are why we cannot ignore certain other things that must be brought in, even as we use technology. But as for whether I would want my children to imbibe the AI stuff, that one is certain, because this is the era for it. A lot of things are now being done using AI.
I prefer human being. AI is a robot. It's not everything that he knows. But human being, naturally, there are some things he explained. It's not just how do I put it? It's not. It's sometimes you ask question and human being explain with nature, but robot don't know anything about nature. He cannot explain. It's only what he thinks is better. Let me just say, most of the time, ask AI question, he will say he don't know it. But as a human, once you are educated and you exist, you just have a little reference to what someone has, even if you cannot tell the full detail of that, but you can give out something that the person will hold on.
I trust AI to educate me because it's an artificial intelligence which can make you to be what? To be computer literate, that will guide you, and also you can use it to empower yourself in order for you to be financial dependent. It can lecture you into technology aspect of life, which you can use it to produce a lot of things and be useful to yourself. I don't think that there is any negative side of it, because for my children, it helps them in solving their homework, which there is artificial AI, that is artificial intelligence app, that is in my phone, that will help my son to do some of his homework by himself in mathematics.
AI, there is the human factor. AI is not as calculative. AI cannot calculate, okay, this is what you need. For example, when you say my educational level, you mean as like different professions now. So for example, in medicine, AI does not know, AI does not have experience. So AI cannot train me according to what's happening in real life situation. It only has intelligence. There's intelligence and there's real life circumstance. So AI can't give practical examples. So in the negative side, I realized maybe it can make people become lazy, because every little thing people now jump to AI. It can reduce their intelligence quotient, because what makes people intelligent is stress their mind to think more. So AI can make people stop thinking, and which is now reducing their intelligence quotient, which means that whenever there is no AI, they can't function properly.
I prefer human beings to educate my children, because I think they most had a knowledge about education. AI just came like a year ago or 2 years ago. In as much as, yes, the world is internet based and AI is what is the main issue right now, but I would still prefer a human than AI. Concerning our society these days, the children these days are so internet inclined. So, and we parents these days are trying to be very, very careful with what our children see online. So, if my child is above 16, I can trust AI, but below that age, I wouldn't want to, because of what is in the internet these days.
The opinions on AI education are mixed. While some see it as future of learning, others remain cautious. One thing is clear: as technology shapes our classrooms, the conversation about trust, qualities, and human touch in education is only just beginning. I am Chinaza Ifeanyi, Aneke TV.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Join us on Arena, Aneke TV's premium current affairs program, where politics, development and governance come alive. Every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, we host top professionals and thought leaders who speak their minds on issues shaping Nigeria and the world. It's inclusive, enriching and absolutely captivating.
The roadmap is, let's have our environment secured so that investors can come.
If you don't know what economic security is, kidnapping will tell you what it is.
you kidnap a person.
Customers are going to get these meters, and like we said, it's at no cost.
There are things that dialogue can handle. But when you leave it, you want to use the kinetic approach alone. You cannot.
For discussions that promise insight and deliver truth, stay tuned, stay informed, and keep watching Arena, only on Aneke TV.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Nwakuba. Moving over to the headlines, President Tinubu demands immediate release of South Sudan's first vice president. National Assembly to reconvene tomorrow on Electoral Act bill. Ebonyi community moves to ICC over alleged atrocities by governor. NSA Ribadu challenges El-Rufai to substantiate toxic chemical claims. And now the news in details. Governor Alex Oti of Abia State has pledged to clear salary arrears owed to former councillors who served between 1999 and 2022 under previous administrations. The payments are set to begin this month and will be settled in batches. The governor made the announcement during a meeting with members of the Association of Former Elected Councillors at the JAAC Secretariat of Gurube Layout, Umahia. He commended the association for withdrawing pending court cases against the state government, describing it as a demonstration of goodwill. Governor Oti stressed that the decision is motivated by fairness and justice rather than politics, assuring that all former councillors will be treated equally irrespective of party affiliation. He directed Chief Jinja Onwusibe, representing Isialangwa North and South Federal Constituency, to work with the Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Prince Uzo Nwachukwu, to formalize the association as a recognized structure. The former councillors expressed gratitude, noting that previous neglect by past administrations caused hardship and the death of some members. The National Assembly will resume plenary sessions tomorrow amid speculation that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 could be considered. Both the Senate and House of Representatives will convene at 11 o'clock a.m. for the session. Clerk to the National Assembly, Kamoru Ogunlana, urged lawmakers to adjust schedules for full attendance, noting that critical decisions are expected. A separate notice from the Clerk of the Senate, Emmanuel Odo, confirmed that the directives comes from Senate President Godswill Akpabio. House of Representatives spokesman, Representative Akin Rotimi, confirmed the resumption, linking it to the release of the 2027 general election timetable by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Observers expect the session to focus on harmonizing the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which has been under review for several months. Lawmakers are set to deliberate on key provisions ahead of the 2027 elections. President Bola Tinubu, through Vice President Kashim Shettima, has called for the immediate and unconditional release of South Sudan's first vice president, Riek Machar, and other detained opposition figures. The appeal was made at the just concluded African Union High-Level Ad Hoc Committee Summit in Addis Ababa. President Tinubu emphasized that national reconciliation in South Sudan cannot proceed while key political leaders remain detained. He urged the transitional government to convene an inclusive national dialogue to resolve long-standing political instability. The president stressed that allied consensus and transparent elections are essential for building long-term trust in South Sudan's leadership. Nigeria presented its position during the C5 Plus summit chaired by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, focusing on show implementation of the 2018 revitalized peace agreement. In addition, Nigeria pledged support for the Combined Maritime Task Force in the Gulf of Guinea. The commitment includes ships, helicopters, office buildings, and specialized personnel to strengthen regional maritime security and curb transnational organized crime. A debate on Nigerian elections has intensified as former INEC officials urged the National Assembly to mandate real-time electronic transmission of results. This comes ahead of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill harmonization session on Tuesday. Former Akwa Ibom Rec. Mike Igini argued that real-time uploads to the IRF portal are critical to preventing result tampering. He noted that BVAS devices can function online and offline, dismissing technical excuses citing poor connectivity. Other former commissioners, including Alhaji Jibrin Zarewa and Asmau Makudi, supported the call, emphasizing that mandatory electronic transmission aligns with global best practices and would restore public trust. However, caution comes from former Federal Commissioner Professor Lai Olurode, who recommended a hybrid system of electronic and manual transmission to prevent technological failures. Senate President Godswill Akpabio defended removing real-time from the bill, citing flexibility for areas with poor connectivity. Peter Obi has officially declared his candidacy for the 2027 presidential election under the African Democratic Congress, ADC. The announcement was made at the Obedience Conference in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Obi explained his exit from the Labour Party was to safeguard his eligibility, alleging federal government interference via Aneke to block his candidacy. He affirmed his determination to contest despite obstacles. The former vice presidential candidate criticized current economic policies, highlighting the burden of national debt with repayment schedules extending to 2050. Obi stated that the Obedient movement remains committed to election transparency and intends to bypass official failures to ensure the electorate's will is respected in 2027. The Sultan of Sokoto and NSCIA President General Alhaji Mohammed Saad Abubakar has directed Muslims nationwide to look for the Ramadan crescent on Tuesday, February 17, if slighted. Fasting will begin Wednesday, February 18, otherwise it will start Thursday, February 19. The council expressed concern over a clash between Ramadan and the 2026 general elections, noting that INEC scheduled presidential polls during fasting and potential gubernatorial elections during Eid. The NSCIA warned that holding elections during religious observance could disadvantage millions of voters and called for a review of the timetable. The council also condemned rising Islamophobic narratives in the country, citing the underreported massacre of 200 Muslims in Kwara State. Members were urged to remain calm and steadfast in faith while praying for security and equality. Residents of Oyu local government area, Kwara State, are on high alert after a letter from a bandit group threatening attacks surfaced at Iran Market. The group, identifying itself as Nigerian Terrorist Association, named IRA, Inaja and Aho as targets. Security agencies, including the Nigerian Army's forward operation base in Ilemona, have intensified patrols to prevent any attack. Local authorities are treating the warning as a high-priority threat. The alert follows a weekend of gun battle where security forces repelled a bandit raid on Share in Ifelodun local government area. No casualties or abductions were reported during that operation. Residents are advised to remain vigilant as security agencies work to intercept these insurgents before they carry out further attacks. The Lagos State government has reinstated compulsory monthly environmental sanitation, ending a 10-year hiatus. The exercise will take place on the last Saturday of each month starting March 2026. Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources Tokumbo Wahab cited indiscriminate waste disposal and block drainage as key reasons for the revival. Legal and logistical hurdles from the 2016 suspension have been resolved. Officials emphasized that poor sanitation habits, not waste management capacity, are the main challenge in high-traffic areas. Residents are urged to take personal responsibility for their environment. The government warned that strict enforcement actions will target illegal dumping and clogged waterways. The initiative aims to build a sustainable urban environment and protect public health. The Amasiri community in Ebonyi State has petitioned the International Criminal Court and the United Nations against Governor Francis Wifuru, alleging crimes against humanity. The petition cites military operations over boundary disputes with the neighboring Oso community. Residents claim extrajudicial killings, destruction of homes, looting of sacred artifacts, and collective punishment, including the closure of schools, have occurred. Lawyer Ida Madabuchi filed the petition, stressing that criminal liability must be individual. The petition seeks an independent investigation and visa restriction against the governor from the US, UK and EU. It has been transmitted to the National Security Advisor and the Chief of Defense Staff for review. The community is calling for immediate withdrawal of military personnel and restoration of access to education while awaiting a response from the Ebonyi State government. The Enugu State Police Command has detained suspects and recovered weapons and illicit substances. Police spokesman Mr. Daniel Ndukwe confirmed the arrest during separate operations. Recovered items include firearms, ammunition, suspected cannabis, and other exhibits. The command says investigations are ongoing. Security officials say the operations form part of sustained efforts to combat criminal activities across the state. The Anambra State Police Command has arrested 4 additional suspects in the murder of 3 Cameroonian nationals. Arrested individuals include Chukwuemeka Emmanuel, Nwabune Bright, Tinecherem Chiama, and Michael Ekwinife. Police recovered 2 pump-action guns, a locally made Beretta pistol, machetes, assorted charms, and live ammunition at a shrine in Nando, Anambra East local government area. Police said armed men fired at operatives during the raid, leading to a gun duel. Prime suspect Uchenna Madua Maka Nicholas escaped with other gang members despite sustained bullet wounds. The arrested suspects are in custody undergoing interrogation. Police reiterated commitment to public safety and urged citizens to provide information to aid ongoing investigations. You're watching Aneke TV News across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now here's a quick reminder of major developments in the news. President Tinubu calls for immediate release of South Sudan's first vice president. National Assembly reconvenes Tuesday to discuss Electoral Act bill. Ebonyi community takes governor to ICC over alleged atrocities. And coming up shortly, NSA Ribadu dares El-Rufai to provide or prove toxic chemical allegations. We'll be right back.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Welcome back. Still on the news. The Office of the National Security Advisor has formally challenged former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai to present evidence supporting his claims of a toxic chemical procurement. Malam El-Rufai alleged that the agency under Malam Nuhu Ribadu secretly acquired 10 kilograms of thallium sulfate from Poland. He demanded urgent clarification, suggesting that the details of the alleged transaction are circulating among opposition leaders. In response, Brigadier General O.M. Adesuyi, speaking on behalf of the NSA, categorically denied the claims. The statement affirmed that the office neither purchased nor initiated any process to acquire the substance. The agency confirmed that the matter has been officially referred to the Department of State Services for investigation. The agency said El-Rufai and anyone claiming information will be formally invited to assist in the inquiry. The delivery of the ONSA response reportedly faced initial resistance at El-Rufai's Abuja residence, but was eventually signed for on Sunday. The situation marks an escalation in tension between the former governor and the nation's top security hierarchy as the DSS prepares to investigate. Honorable Usman Garba Zingo has reportedly been released by armed bandits ending a tense period of uncertainty. Zingo was allegedly abducted while traveling between Zamfara and Kaduna State. Early reports from the Kaduna State House of Assembly denied any abduction, but local security experts and social media footage confirmed his return. Details surrounding the release, including whether ransom was paid or a rescue operation conducted, remain unclear. Neither the Kaduna State Police Command nor the lawmaker's family has provided official comment on the circumstances of his freedom. Community members in Kaduna welcomed Zingo back, offering prayers and celebrating his safe return. The incident has highlighted the persistent security risk along northwest transit corridors where high-profile abduction continue to pose threats. Security analysts warn that these incidents underscores ongoing challenges for travelers and public officials, prompting calls for enhanced safety measures and rapid response protocol along major highways in the region. At least 3 miners died following a pit collapse at the Eyim Agalego community in Ikwo local government area, Ebonyi State. Several others sustained injuries in the incident, while occurred late Saturday at a site operated by First Patriots Limited. Community members rushed to assist in evacuating those trapped on the heavy overburden. Oboke Chukuma Collins, national chairman of the community union, said the pit has become a death trap with the latest fatalities, bringing the total deaths to 5. Collins added that the community had previously sought permission to manage the site, but was denied, describing current operations as illegal. Ebonyi State Commissioner for Solid Minerals Development, Chidi Onyi, visited the site and attributed the tragedy to illegal greed-driven mining practices. He clarified that the government still considers the site active on the First Patriots Limited and emphasized stricter oversight going forward. Authorities have promised to intensify monitoring of mining operations to prevent further casualties, urging operators and residents to comply with safety regulations in mineral-rich areas. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise has warned that corruption and occupational fraud are draining between 5 trillion naira and 10 trillion naira annually from Nigeria's MSME sector. CEO Dr. Muda Yusuf said employee theft, payroll manipulation and diversion of sales revenue are major contributors to these losses. MSMEs account for nearly 50% of Nigeria's non-oil GDP, making these internal losses a significant economic concern. Dr. Yusuf explained that weak internal controls, reliance on cash transaction and limited audit capacities make small businesses particularly vulnerable. The CPPE advised entrepreneurs to adopt digital payment systems and accounting software to create transparent records and reduce opportunities for financial misconduct. Dr. Yusuf emphasized that tackling workplace fraud is critical not only for business sustainability but also for national economic growth and job creation, urgent policy measures and private sector compliance. The Nigerian Labour Congress has criticized the federal government's plan to inject 3 trillion naira into electricity generating companies. NLC President Joe Ajero described the initiative as a phantom subsidy aimed at political interest ahead of the 2027 elections, insisting that private power firms have failed to improve supply. Ajero called for a reversal of the privatization model, proposing electricity to be treated as a social service. He argued that the private sector lacks the technical and financial capacity to manage the national grid, which continues to experience frequent collapses. The Labour leader demanded the National Summit to establish a worker-centered roadmap for public investment in power infrastructure, advocating for affordable tariffs and service-oriented reforms. Tensions also reached the National Assembly, where senators raised concerns over irregular billing and malfunctioning